Laziness Guide, the podcast for everyone who needs to rest. Episode 1, The Introduction to Laziness. Hello, my name is Simon. Welcome to the Laziness Guide podcast, where you discover that laziness is good. And if there was a motto for this podcast, it would be a quote from Casey Hamilton. Darling, I told you several times before, I have no dream job, I do not dream of labor. But why would I even bother you or me with such a filthy thing as laziness? Well, we live in a culture that tells us that we must deserve to have rest or leisure. Otherwise, it is a sin. You must work hard because enjoying our free time is bad. Whatever you do must be productive. Everywhere, everyone wants you to fight laziness, tackle procrastination, and make you more productive. Let me prove that. See what happens when you want to learn about laziness and let's say Google it. Check it on your own, but here are my search engine results. First one, all about laziness. What causes it and what to do about it. Another one, how to overcome laziness or how to stop being lazy. 17 healthy and practical strategies. What causes laziness and 7 ways to prevent it. Laziness. How to stop being lazy. How to stop being lazy and unproductive. Well, a lot has changed within the last couple of years, but still, it's so much easier to buy books on productivity than on laziness. And even if you find something about laziness, it's usually about overcoming it, not embracing. And even if you find any tips on leisure, relaxation, or idleness, usually the main goal is to make sure you can stand up and hustle some more, and more, and more. How are we going to fight that delusion? In the Laziness Guide podcast, I want to talk about the upside of laziness. I want people to stop feeling guilty whenever they want a moment to slow down, rest, or relax. I want you to be lazy because it will make your life better and you will be happier. To do it, I want to learn about the history of laziness and where our ideas about laziness come from. I hope you will see how laziness can benefit your minds and bodies. Maybe you will even find out how to be the best sloth you can be. So, what is laziness? Let's start with some definitions because, as Wittgenstein famously put it, the limits of language are the limits of my world. Let's see what are the definitions of laziness according to some wise sources and wise people. So, according to Wikipedia, laziness is a disinclination to activity or exertion despite having the ability to act or to exert oneself. Well, Oxford Learner's Dictionary. Laziness is the fact of being unwilling to work or to be active. Cambridge Dictionary. Laziness is the quality of not being willing to work or use any effort. Britannica. Not liking to work hard or to be active. But personally, I prefer this one by a French writer, Jules Renard. Laziness is nothing more than the habit of resting before you get tired. So, let's take it apart. Unwillingness to take action. Simple objective statement. How could that become a moral thing or a sin? Something we feel guilty about. I will dive into this in one of the next episodes, but it requires a more thorough research. Today, I will only say that for me, if laziness is a moral thing, it's a good thing. The will to work you will find in many definitions, or the lack of will to work. But let me ask, am I lazy if I don't want to work, but I do it anyway? Or if I fancy doing anything else but my job, but I still go to work? Am I lazy? Or when I'm tired, maybe, after work, or I just want to relax, am I lazy? Do you have to deserve to have rest? And who is there to decide? Who can tell you whether your rest is well deserved or not? And let's say if you want to paint all day, or read a book, or play with your pet, is that laziness? If the same thing is sometimes labeled as laziness and sometimes it's not, does such a label make any sense? The controversy about these questions comes from the way we approach laziness. We are taught to think about it in moral and ethical categories. You must sacrifice your effort first. Only then you are allowed to rest. I call that nonsense. This kind of laziness does not exist. Laziness is like being hungry or sleepy or happy or sad. It can be harmful if it becomes too severe, but does it mean you should avoid it at all costs? Of course not. However, there is a type of laziness I believe in. I would call it positive laziness. Not everything you do has to bring you profit of any kind. Just live the life you like living, doing things, engaging in activities for the sake of doing them. And by activities, I mean that having a nap is an activity. By the way, a well known sleep researcher, Matthew Walker, wrote that it is possible that sleep used to be the default state for the first living things. So, apparently, there was no chaos in the beginning. There was sleep. What's my point here? Should we stop doing anything at all? Of course not. We need food and shelter. We like traveling, eating out, and watching films. Some of us even like our jobs. What I want to say is, we don't have to be productive 24/7. There is nothing wrong with watching your grass grow. There is nothing wrong with drawing or listening to music, or even running a marathon if you like it. In a world dominated by the hustling culture, I want you to think about having a good time, doing less and slowing down from time to time. I know you have to make a living. I know you have a family to take care of. Not everyone can be a full-time slacker. I know. That's why I'll be your laziness guide, like a laziness monk if you want. And you will take what you want from that. In the next episodes, we will dive into leisure, traveling, holidays, food, art, and of course, laziness. If you know anyone who needs to hear that laziness is good, share the Laziness Guy podcast with them. Spread the word. And if you want to ask me about laziness or suggest an idea for a laziness podcast episode, drop me a line at lazinessguide@gmail.com and have a lazy day.